if you do less in your business, you could actually make more because you're doubling down on what's actually working. So I started to strip away some offers and some opportunities that were ego-based but weren't really doing anything for the bottom line. Strip those away. I did less in 2012 and made more money than I had ever made at that point.
You're listening to the Redefining Wealth Podcast with Patrice Washington. And as you know, this is the space where we come to learn more about what it means to chase purpose, not money. And I'm so excited about our guests for today because they are going to help you reassess, reanalyze, rethink, and yes, redefine how you see wealth. Now, before we get into this week's episode, I want to remind you how important it is to rate and review the podcast so that other purpose chasers who don't even know that we're out here can find us using these algorithms. So we need you to rate and review the podcast. Before we jump into today's amazing guest, though, I want to start with the affirmation of the week. So here we go.
You know, you got to speak positivity into your life. To your day. You gotta affirm positivity. You gotta affirm abundance. You gotta affirm yourself to wealth.
This week's affirmation is, I remain true to myself as my purpose evolves. I give myself the freedom and grace to grow, expand, and evolve. I accept that what may be purposeful in one season may not be in complete alignment in the next. I accept that I may be called to use the same gifts in different spaces or with different people. And when that happens, I am still walking in purpose. When a season has come to completion for me, I will respect the evolution and embrace what comes next, knowing that no matter what, I am always being guided and will choose what I authentically feel led to do, not what others demand to experience of me based on past seasons. Declare today, I remain true to myself as my purpose evolves. Today's guest is Amy Porterfield. Amy is an online marketing expert and the host of the top-ranked podcast, Online Marketing Made Easy. Before building a multi-million-dollar digital course business, Amy worked with mega brands like Harley-Davidson and peak performance coach Tony Robbins, where she oversaw the content team and collaborated on groundbreaking online marketing campaigns, and it shows. Through her best-selling courses and popular podcasts, Amy's action-by-action approach proves that even the newest online entrepreneurs can bypass the overwhelm and instead generate exciting momentum as they build a business they love. Without further ado, here's my girl, Amy Porterfield. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth Podcast, Amy.
Oh my goodness, I've been looking forward to this all week. It's so good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. This is a long time in the making. I am so grateful to you for inviting me to be on your podcast and to share with your students. And now I finally get to share you with my community of purpose chasers. And I know they're going to learn a lot because we're digging into some money stuff and some business stuff today. And I'm just excited. So,
Me too.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay, so we have to start here. So you know that my mantra, it's on my shirt, is chase purpose, not money. But as a marketing expert, I hear that you have a new motto in life, and it's I don't chase, I attract.
Yes.
Ooh, let's start there. Break that down for us.
Okay, so I am a worrier by nature. Ever since I've been a really little girl, if I can worry about it, I'll be worrying about it. And so my mom used to always say, if you worry, pray. If you pray, don't worry. Like she still says it to me and I'm in my 40s. So, but because of that, I found myself feeling like I was chasing a lot. And I use chasing in the word, you can see it as a positive thing or a negative thing. I'm talking in the negative way, that desperate chasing, that I got to make this work. I got to make this promo work. I've got to teach this in the right way. I've got to attract the right people. I got to do this. And it was like this feeling of like anxiousness and desperation. And even when things were going well, it was still on low level. I felt that energy. And then I realized this is exhausting. Like chasing in that way, the desperate way, holy cow, it feels so overwhelming. Like I can't ever let my shoulders relax, take a deep breath. And so this is funny, but on TikTok, I saw this idea around attracting versus chasing. Someone was talking about this woman, and I thought, that's what I need. So I started to just bring that into my life. Like, what would it look like if I attracted, let's say, the type of people or the type of energy that I want in my world? And what that looked like was shoulders relaxed, deep breaths, doing my purpose, working on purpose, doing the things that I know I'm best at, and letting the magic happen. So showing up, doing the work, but also leaving room for a little bit of magic, seeing what might happen if I were to let go. I white knuckle a lot, or at least I have in the past. So once I started to let go, some amazing things started to happen.
I love that. I love that. I did an episode coming into my 40th birthday in 2020 or 2021. All these years are a blur. Okay, 2021. And one of the things I was talking about was being unattached to all of these outcomes, because that's where the worrying comes in, right? It's like, I believe that we do all we can do and then we stand.
That's good.
That's it. Do what you can do, but then stand. At some point, we do have to just release it. And I love that you said, allow the magic to happen. So for you, what's an example of something that shifted in your life or business when you took that approach of, I'm not going to chase that, I'm going to attract it?
So two things that come to mind with that question. The first one is, I moved to a 4-day work week with my team of 20 full-time employees virtually working around the US. And that was a way of me kind of releasing, letting go, because I thought, well, we were working 5 days a week and some of us on the weekends, some of us late at night. And I thought, this is not the energy I want in my business. And I have a lot of women, moms on my team. I don't want them depleted when they show up for their kids at night or on the weekends or whenever. So one of the ways I let go is I thought, well, we're going to work less and see if we can still do the amazing things that we're doing. And this was over a year ago. It's been a year now. I wouldn't change it for the world. Even if we struggled a little with revenue or if things kind of got rocky, I would have still done it because I saw such a shift on my team. Luckily, we're still doing really well, but even if I still would have done it because my team is happier, more relaxed, more present when we are together. So that was one way of me letting go of that anxious energy. The other thing that I think made a really big difference is that I totally lost my train of thought. Is this 40? Is this what 40s look like? So wait a second. It was a really good one. So we were talking about examples. Oh, I know. Phew. Okay. So the other one is my podcast. So I've had my podcast for 9 years. And we always wanted to have 1 million download month. It was just always a goal. And for me, my podcast is the top of the funnel. So people find me through my podcast. So they get introduced into my world through the podcast, which is very important to grow an audience and engage an audience. So we wanted to get more people into our world. So for years, I've been chasing this goal for years, and especially the last few years. I have a podcast producer full-time on my team. We went to 2 episodes a week. Like, we have made a lot of efforts. Still, we're not hitting it. Finally, in just a moment of remembering, I do not chase, I attract, I said, I'm letting go of this goal. If it happens, wonderful. But like you said, do everything you can do and just stand in that. And I did. This was a few months ago. I just stood in that, said, I'm going to have to release this because it's driving me nuts. Lo and behold, 2 months later, January was our first 1 million download month, and we have been able to repeat it since, which is so exciting. But this is 9 years in the making. So wow. I've seen it work firsthand.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I am super, super excited for you. That's incredible. And you brought up a lot for me. So when I'm like sending you desperate voice memos in the middle of the night, here's what is coming up for me. I'm at a place where, it's we keep growing the team. We keep growing the team, right? And
Yep.
I need to decide between full-time employees versus contractors.
Hmm.
What was that like for you?
Yeah.
You've been at this a long time when you start to realize not only do I need to hire support, yes, I've had virtual assistants and, third party contractors and all of that. But when you get to a place where it's like, no, I need someone's undivided attention
Exactly.
on what I have going on because this is a lot.
Yes. Okay. That was the big shift for me. We used contractors for years and years. And as we all know, when you use a contractor, typically they are not 100% on your team, meaning they've got other clients and other things, and you cannot dictate their hours. You can really, by law, at least in California where I used to live, you can't even tell them exactly how to do everything. Like they're
Mhm.
independent. That's why they're called independent contractors. So we got to the point that we're like, wait a second, the stuff we're working on is important to us. It's timely. We want to make sure we hit these big goals. We need your undivided attention. Absolutely why we did it. Also, in California, there are really strict laws about who can be a contractor, who can be an employee. And
Mhm.
I was walking the line. So I needed to legally protect myself. So we moved all of our contractors or whoever wanted to into employees. And then we started to hire employees. But I will say, I can't sugarcoat this. Sometimes it's easier with contractors. Having full time employees, we do benefits, we do unlimited time off, we do retreats, we do all the things you would do with full time employees. Holy cow, that has been stressful, especially the
Mhm.
first few years we did it. It's a lot.
Mm.
It's a lot of responsibility. But at the same time, it's so amazing when you know everyone is focused on the same project for the same amount of time and they're all in. That's a beautiful thing. But it didn't come without a lot of stress.
Yeah. And I can imagine too. I think for anyone who's listening, no matter where you are in your business, I think it always has to come down to what do you really want
Yes.
and just what feels right for you. Because I know that one of your goals, if I remember correctly, was to get on the Inc. 500 list,
Yes. We
right?
really wanted that.
You
Yes.
really you really wanted that. And so I could see how having a team of 20 full-time, employees would help you get to that
Yes.
goal, right? And create
Yes.
that environment. But it's really important, and this is a constant reminder for me, a mindset thing, that while we have access to what so many people are doing, because many of us share very transparently, like what's going on in our businesses and on our teams, it's important to still always check in with what's in alignment for you.
Yes. And I think that question, I don't think we ask ourselves that enough. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want your personal life to look like? What do you want your business life to look like? What do you want your health and wellness to look like? Your spirituality? What do you want? And the reason I'm passionate about this question is because a lot of the times I struggle to answer it. I've been
Mhm.
journaling 10 minutes every morning consistently. And sometimes when I don't know what to journal, I just write, what do you want? And sometimes I struggle to get real clarity around what it is that I want. And I think we need to keep pushing for those answers.
Yeah. Has there been a time, and I'm sure, has there been a time as you have been just building your business that you took a step because that's what you genuinely thought you wanted and it completely.
Absolutely. Many times, in fact, many times. The one that comes to mind that was made the most impact in my life is that I thought I wanted a business partner. And so I was about 4 or 5 years into my business, probably four, had just hit almost the $1 million mark in a year. So it was a big milestone for entrepreneurs. And I met a guy who's younger than me, so incredibly smart. This kid was just, I called him a kid because I'm older than him, but whip smart. He wasn't a kid. But we started to talk and decided that he was going to become a business partner in my existing business. And for a few years, we were business partners 50-50. And he was so strategic, so smart. And the business became a multi-million-dollar business while we worked together. but it got to a point that I lost myself. I tend to let men lead. At least I have in the past. I have a very
Ooh.
strict father that was the boss of all bosses. And then I worked for Tony Robbins, who was larger than life. And then I got a male business partner, and I found myself treating him like my dad or Tony, where I would defer to him. And so I didn't even have an opinion anymore. I would run by him. I'd be scared and just think, well, he could take care of it. It's not a part of my personality I'm proud of. But I watched my mom let my dad be the boss from day one. And we had a very traditional marriage. They had a traditional marriage. She set out the clothes for him. She cooked dinner every night, even though she had a job as well. So I was just raised with that. So anyway, I saw these patterns in my relationship with my male business partner, and I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror anymore. And I thought, I don't want this. I thought I wanted this. I thought it would bring me more protection and security, but in reality, it just has allowed me, I became like a shell of who I was. So I had to then work on untangling all that. It's like a divorce in your business. Scariest time of my life. Luckily, it turned out fine, but for a while, I thought I was going to lose my business. So it's a decision that I changed my mind on a few years later, and it was really rough.
Yeah. What I love about the story, though, is that you've gone on to create so much phenomenal
Yes.
success and impact. And I think that what I've been learning throughout this journey is even if it doesn't go as planned, I'm pretty sure it was a part of the bigger plan,
Ah,
right? Like the
amen.
greater plan for my life needed me to have these examples, these experiences, some level of exposure to something because I learned the lessons. Either it's a blessing or a lesson. That's how I choose to see it. And even in
Absolutely.
those most difficult moments, even if it's a quote unquote failure, I'm still failing forward, which I have found is so much better than sitting on the sidelines,
Oh,
just
yeah.
thinking about it, wishing, hoping, praying. Like I'm a prayer warrior, but at some point we have to take action and trust that any action we take is still leading us down this path that is going to be purposeful in the end.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that up because it was the worst time of my life. Like I've never cried so much. I've never been so scared in my life, business wise. And when it was over, I was like a tiger. My business exploded the next year. And it was because I thought, all right, you wanted this, you got your business back, let's go. And so I didn't know I had it in me what I was able to do that next year. And then from there, I've just only grown. So it feels like it was a blessing and a lesson, but it was a hardcore lesson I needed to learn. And funny enough, I just wrote a book and turned my first manuscript in. So excited, but it was very exciting. But there's a chapter in the book about this. And when I wrote it, I thought, now I can add value to someone else about the mistakes that I made. And that is a blessing.
Yes. That's why I don't really shy away, Amy, from any of the ugly stuff anymore. You
Yeah.
know, like even my transition in my marriage, I've been vocal about and not in a way that would disparage my ex-husband or you know, really like how has this helped me grow
Yes.
in the hopes that it'll continue to help my audience grow because I don't think hiding the valleys supports us or other people. I really do
Not at
believe
all.
that the truth will set us all free.
Yes.
Like, call me crazy, but I really do think that when people hear our truth, we hear at Redefining Wealth, we've been calling it the Saturday. So we got that from a pastor, Michael Todd, who talks about, Jesus died on a Friday and he rose on Sunday, but no one talks about Saturday, what he must have felt on Saturday, being buried in darkness, dealing with demons, like all the things that happen when times get tough. So I applaud you for including that because it's really easy for people to go, I've been watching Amy Porterfield blow up for 10 years or 12 years and it just looks
Yeah.
like the constant
Oh, no.
ascension,
Not at all. Yeah.
and
I'm so
we
glad. Yeah, I don't want anyone to think that it was easy or that I have a leg up or that it just happened quickly. Holy cow. It was rough for a few years for sure, in the beginning and in the middle. And I'm sure it's still going to be rough. I'm sure I've got some trials and tribulations ahead of me. But I do have strong faith, and I also know what I am capable of. And I've also surrounded myself. This is something more recent than ever. I need my girlfriends, and specifically my girlfriends who are entrepreneurs. I need all my
Yes.
girlfriends, even those who aren't. But the ones that do what you and I do, they understand how terrifying it is to hire your first hire. They understand how terrifying it is when your promo doesn't convert like it used to, and you're confused as to what the heck to do, and you've got a sleepless night ahead of you. Like, they get those moments, and I call them now. I reach out. I do ask for help, which I didn't do that for many, many years. And I'm so glad that I'm humble enough to say, I need an ear right now. I need to talk to someone.
And I just talked about this the other night. I was in the middle of one of our challenges, and I was saying that even your coach, needs a mentor, needs a community, because as a public figure and as folks that have a platform, if you just are always taking in everyone else's stuff and you're answering everyone else's questions, but you don't have anywhere to go drop off your stuff, your fears, what's keeping you up at night, what is confusing you, you're going to burn out really quickly.
Uh,
Have you experienced burnout in your business at any
oh,
point?
absolutely. In 2011, so I started in 2010, essentially like full time. So by end of 2011, I thought, this is not what I thought it was. Absolutely. I thought I'd be drinking Mai Tais on a beach with a laptop on my lap. I have
Of
never done that.
course.
Right? That has never been my reality. But I also was trying to do a million things, didn't have a good support system, and realized like, this is not fun. I'd rather go back to my 9 to 5 job than work all these hours. And I was getting in debt. My second year of business was terrible. And so, yes, I've absolutely reached burnout. In that moment, what I learned, someone had taught me that if you do less in your business, you could actually make more because you're doubling down on what's actually working. So I started to strip away some offers and some opportunities that were ego-based but weren't really doing anything for the bottom line. Strip those away. I did less in 2012 and made more money than I had ever made at that point. So, but yes, burnout a few times along the way has absolutely happened. Probably one of the reasons I went to a 4-day work week, I needed one extra day to breathe. Like, I just thought, this is getting too crazy out there. I just need one extra day. So that's helped immensely.
Oh yeah, and I do a 4-day work week as well.
You do?
The entire team doesn't,
Yeah.
but I do. So
I
I
think
take
that's great too.
Wednesdays off. I take
Oh,
Wednesdays
nice.
off.
Just in the middle
So
of the week. That's kind
just
of
in
cool.
the middle of the week, I'm like a moment to think and breathe and regroup so that I can finish the week strong. And
That's
I've
so
been
smart.
doing that for about 2.5 years now.
Wow. I think it's smart.
Game
I actually
changer.
kind of really like that because by the time I get to Thursday evening, I am spent. Because when you go from a 5-day to a 4-day, we didn't cut back the work. We just work smarter, but it's still exhausting by the end of Thursday. I can imagine if you take Wednesday off, you're alive and ready and in it on Thursday and Friday. That's actually
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And such a game changer.
Yeah, I bet.
For my attitude.
Amen.
Just like, let's keep it real, for my attitude, for my ability to just process all of the things, because there's just so much movement
Yes.
all the
True.
time.
All
And
the
if I
time.
don't take that time, I feel like the business would take me out.
Oh, 1,000,000% I agree. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Amy, when we get back, I want to touch on something you said. You talked about your family, your parents having traditional roles.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back from the break, I want to dive into the fact that you're actually the breadwinner, right? In your family.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I really want to use some of your wisdom to support many of the women in our audience who are becoming the breadwinners as well.
Oh, I love
So
that.
stay right there. We'll be right back. Hey there, if you're brand new to the Redefining Wealth podcast, maybe you've been thinking to yourself, well, what are the 6 pillars? What's the actual breakdown and what does that all entail? Well, I broke it all down for you in a free audio training called The Truth About Wealth. I want you to go check it out at patricewashington.com/start here. The Truth About Wealth is going to walk you through what each one of the 6 pillars are, but it's also going to help you assess where you are in your journey so that as you continue to listen to the podcast and lean in a little bit more to this idea of becoming a purpose chaser, you know exactly where you need to start. So head to patricewashington.com/start here and get your free audio training, The Truth About Wealth, today. Okay, Amy, so before the break, we were going to touch on you being the breadwinner. So in our community, because most of my audience are women, and many of them are married women and mothers, and they are leading households, right? They're coming from purpose to platform or command the stage. They are using their voice. They are getting booked. They are getting clients. And now their income is growing exponentially. And there's a shift. How have you managed that in your own personal life? What are some tips that you can just share?
Okay, I love this topic because it's something that's very important to think about and to talk about. Communications, everything here. So a little quick backstory. My husband was a San Diego firefighter when we lived in California. And in California, firefighters do not make that much money. So I've made more money than my husband for probably 10 years now. So it's been a long time. But we take it one step further. When we moved to Nashville a year ago, we both made the decision that he was going to retire. He's 50, so he got to retire young. But when you are a firefighter and you go to a different state, you have to start over. So he'd be competing with like 21-year-olds. And he's like, this body's good, but it's not that good. Like, this ain't going to happen. And also, as a firefighter, you are gone every other night. And in California, you're gone for a very big period of time with wildfires and all of that. So he wasn't around nearly as much as I wanted. So I loved the idea of my husband being in bed every night with me. It was, and being home more. So we made the decision together, but I was very afraid, and I was vocal with him. I said, I don't want to resent you. I work very hard, and I go hard at everything I do. And you being home every day and not working, I might start to resent the fact that you don't have to work. So I said, we need to keep communicating. He's like, I would be devastated if that was how you'd feel. So anyway, we get to Nashville, and luckily I have loved it, and it hasn't even been an issue, but it's because we did so much work in the first few years. So when I started making more money than Hobie, we were in a tax meeting with our tax guy. We had never talked about it. And we were in this tax guy, and he talked about how much money I made and Hobie. And Hobie said, in that moment, I felt like less of a man. I wanted to hide under the chair, like, what is going on? Because he too always felt like the man should make the money. And that's all I knew. My dad always made more money than my mom. And so we went home, and I said, what's wrong? And he said, I feel like I'm less of a man in this marriage. Like, you're making so much more money than me. And we started to talk about it. I talked about my dreams and where I wanted this business to grow and how I had this gift that I could share. And I had no problem being the breadwinner as long as he supported me in my dreams, even when things got tough. And that moment, he became my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. And he feels like he's done this with me. It's interesting. I might not feel as much of that. He's not in the business every day. He knows nothing about what I do, but he feels like, you and I talked a little bit about this off camera, but he runs the household now. He does the chores. He manages the people coming in and out of the house. He makes everything work so that I just show up for work. I do very little of the household things. And thank God, because doing both is really, really hard. And I think that I would be struggling.
Girl, yes, that is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned through my separation, and untangling my marriage is like, wait a minute, I really had the freedom to be Patrice Washington, as people know Patrice Washington on a platform and a stage. In my personal life, I had not been to the car wash. I
Amen.
literally went to the car wash, and the guy walked up, and I was like, I've never driven the car through this machine. Please help me. I've never actually put the car in neutral, because who does that besides going through the car wash? I mean, I was learning all kinds of things. I was like, where are the breakers? Like, what? How do I turn these lights back on? It was really eye-opening. And there is that is such a vital role. And I think that, even for the guys listening, as women are starting businesses at alarming rates, right? Like it is
Yes.
crazy how women are starting businesses and how we're creating these courses and learning to scale and figure out what offers actually work for us and all those things. To me, it did not bother me to be the breadwinner. I didn't feel anything about it. I just wanted to um, be able to do what I really love
Yes.
and create an environment where Gerald could do what he really loved, whatever that looked like for him in that season. Um, but I do think that because of a lack of communication, specifically on that, I love that you and Hobie like talked about that up
Yeah.
front.
A lot.
And that you were even able, when you did the move, to articulate, I don't want to resent you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, girl, come on, therapy and personal development. Like, who?
Right?
That
So
was that is big.
it's big, and I'm lucky enough to have a husband that before I met Hobie, he went through AA, so he's gone through the 12 steps, and so has done a lot of the work. So communication is very easy for him. I know that doesn't happen for every couple, and so it might be a little harder to you communicate saying what you need, what you're feeling. But for me, it's so easy because he responds so well. But I do think, regardless how well people communicate, it has to be discussed and you have to keep checking in. So, and he didn't like when I said, I might resent you. He freaked out. That scared him very much. He's like, I'm quitting a career. If you resent me, what am I going to do? I'm like, well, we're going to have to work through it. But thank God it didn't happen. But yeah, communication with your partner in money issues is everything.
Yeah, really, really good. Um, I heard you talk about recently that this was going to be the first year that you do a sabbatical.
Yes. Oh my
Let's
goodness. I'm so
get
nervous.
let's get into that.
Oh,
So, I haven't officially called it a sabbatical, but for the
yeah.
last 3 years, I take a month off in the summer.
Oh, well, you've done it. Okay, please give me all the tips. How did you do this? Did you really turn off? Like you really didn't work?
So, first of all, the first few days, absolutely, I worked. Like, I
I get it.
absolutely worked. Like, I might go somewhere else and be in another place, but
Yeah.
my brain wasn't ready to turn off because I was still thinking of all the things that I needed to remind people to do and
Yeah.
tasks that I needed to add. like,
Yes.
so no, the first few days, it takes me a while to settle in.
Same.
I realized that I cannot be in the same environment. So there's no taking a sabbatical but being home. Not going to
Okay.
happen
Okay,
because
great.
I will drift into my office. And then
Mhm.
before you know it, I'll be like, this would be a great podcast. Let me just sit down and record it, right? And now I'm like doing work related things, maybe hiding out from folks via email, but I'm still kind of doing work related things. So for me, it's been traveling and just being completely away and leaving my laptop. I only travel with my iPad.
Okay, that's actually a great thing right there. So that I'm going to take that with me for sure. Here's the great thing. So you're right. This is my first year of a sabbatical. So I'm 13 years in. I've tried it for years and I always canceled it. So we're not canceling it because here's the thing. One interesting thing about Hobie being retired now is he does want more of my attention. I'm very lucky, right, that this wonderful man wants my attention, but that stresses me out as well. He's a quality time kind of guy. I'm an acts of service kind of girl. Like, take out the trash and you're the sexiest husband in the world.
Me
Well, he
too.
wants me sitting there right next to him and he feels connected that way. So I told him I was doing it and I can't go back because he's really excited about it. But when we moved to Nashville, before we bought this house in Nashville, we bought a lake house. Obviously, real estate's cheaper in Tennessee than in California. So we were fortunate enough to get a lake house that's getting remodeled right now. So come June, that lake house is ready. So we will be taking me out of this environment where I've got my studio and got my office. And so that's going to help immensely. Love the idea of just bringing an iPad, not a laptop with me. And also my head, it's gonna go wild a little bit in the very beginning. I'm ready for that. And I had to warn Hobie, give me a few days to ease into this because I am very nervous. But also what I'm nervous about is May. My May looks packed right now because we're trying to get all this stuff in before I take the month off. Probably not the way you're supposed to do it, but it's my first time. So we'll see how it shakes out, but I am doing it.
Why was it so necessary? Besides obviously, for your relationship,
Yeah.
what about it do you just feel like you need in this season?
Where I've messed up over the 13 years, and I feel guilty about this because I taught this as well. I've been in that hustle mentality from day one. I learned internet marketing from the gentlemen. I learned it from the men who the hustlers, the Gary V crush it, all of that, like make it happen, make it happen. And I drove that hard for years and years. And when I taught, I would be like, whatever it takes, get it done. You got to work the weekend, you work the weekend. And that worked, but I believe in my core that there's another way to build a business out of hustle mentality. I do not believe you have to hustle to be successful. The first few years, you got to figure it out and it's probably tough, but I'm talking 10 years in, I was still hustling. So over the last few years, I realized I don't like it. I don't like my business when I'm hustling. I feel resentful. I don't want to do all the things I need to do. So in order to love my business again, I had to stop with the grinding. And this sabbatical is one way to remind myself that I am not grinding anymore. My business will thrive even if I'm not in it every single day. And as I've gotten older, I don't want to work that hard anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
But I still want to be super successful. So that's where I'm finding that balance.
Oh, girl, you are speaking my language. Because I do believe, as Shay Bynes calls it, grace over grind. I
Ooh, I
believe.
love that.
Oh, yes. I believe in that. That as I feel led to do more things or add things, that I want to do it from a place of grace and ease. I don't want my mind to instantly go into, oh, that's going to be 632 tasks and ClickUp, right? And now I have to do all of the things. And yes, I'm going to have to shoot the videos, or we're going to have to write scripts, or we're going to have to do these things in order to make it successful. But I'm also really at a stage where I want to embrace that feminine flow, where, like you said, for many of us who came up around men, and for me, Steve Harvey was one of my early mentors.
Yes.
So I worked with Steve Harvey when I was 19 years old.
What?
And the grind mentality. There are videos of Steve out there where he's talking about, you'll sleep when you're dead,
Yes.
And, and I love Steve. I appreciate everything that I got from him, but I'm a different generation, right? Times have changed, and I'm also a woman. And there is just something about wanting to create from this feminine space of like feeling in to your body. Facts ain't feelings. I get it. But there's also just, and I'm in a season of just learning this and trying to embrace it. I want to go with the flow, not against it. I am not in a season of wanting to force anything, because the truth is, and this may sound morbid, but if I die today, I will already be remembered as a very successful woman.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yes, my Jasmine, my good friend, and I always say, you've already won. You've already won. You're there. You're there. Let go.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to actually share that, because if you're not careful, you will be operating from, a prior season, right? Year 10, I'm in almost year 10. I'm in year 10 of full time. Year 13, at some point, we should not be operating like it's year 2.
Thank
year
you.
2
That's
required
Yes.
us to wear all the hats and to do all the things, and to do, or maybe have a more justifiable hustle and grind mentality. But at what point do you say, I'm in a new season? And like your friend Jasmine, I've already won. I won. Yes, there's nothing wrong with wanting more, but I won. Like, take a freaking break, girl. Go to the lake.
Go to the lake.
Go to the lake. But we have to talk about that because as people who serve newer entrepreneurs and folks who are just now entering this space, we have to set better examples. I take it now, and that's why I want to talk about it and be an example of like, I'm learning so that you can do this at year 5 and not wait until year 10.
Okay, that's what I'm passionate about. So if I would think like if I'm most passionate about something right now, the book that I wrote is all about how to leave a 9 to 5 job and start an online business. So it's for someone who doesn't even know this online world exists. She needs to hear from me that we do not need to hustle 10 years into our business. And I love that. Justified hustle in the beginning, I can't get around that. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
But I can teach her a different way than I went with proof from my students that they're not hustling and they're doing amazing things. So I made a mistake for many years, but I can fix that mistake through this new audience that's going to be coming in through the book. And I am passionate about that.
I love that. And Amy, you didn't make a mistake. You did what you knew to do.
That's all I knew. You're so right.
Many of us, we are doing it now, but we came into very male dominated spaces and we did what the examples would have us do. Even for me starting out as a personal finance expert, my early examples were all men. Like there weren't really many women except for Susie Orman, that I could even see. And Susie, because she was coming from a male dominated space, she was given male dominated advice. Like yes, it was a very
masculine energy for sure. Right.
Yeah. There was a lot of masculine energy. So the only thing that I knew was, oh, success leaves clues. This is what they're doing. This is what it looks like. There was not so much conversation 10 years ago about even trusting yourself or leaning into your own intuition or thinking about what is an alignment for you. It was like, they're doing it, do it that way, and you should be fine. Yes. And now we're kind of like deconstructing that to tell people, hey, trust yourself and acknowledge your gifts and figure out how you can best use your voice in this space, in this way.
Amen to that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What is another goal that you had for 2022 that's a little different than anything else you've done?
So let's see, a goal that I have for 2022, beyond wanting to take the sabbatical. And I've talked a lot, I mentioned a lot about this book, but one of my biggest goals was to figure out how to launch a book. So this is interesting in the sense that I've been around 13 years, never launched a book in my life, have no idea how to do it. The only thing I know is what I've seen other people do, but I've paid close attention to the ladies this time. So in my past, I watched what the boys are doing and I did that kind of marketing. And now that I'm a little bit more mature and know that that doesn't fit for me anymore, I've paid close attention to some women that I love that are launching their books. What are they doing? How are they talking about it? And I've been putting together a launch plan, and it's exciting and it's a big goal to get this book out into the world. The book comes out next year, but you've got to do all the work this year and all the pre-sales and all that. So it's a huge challenge for me. It's definitely a big goal to hit some great numbers and find this new audience. I'm passionate about them, but also do it my way. This will probably be the first time that I did a launch, something new in a totally feminine flow, different than anything I've ever done. Because every other launch I've done it how I've learned it in the past. I might have tweaked it over the years, but it still originated from what I've learned in the past. So I am excited to learn something new this year, try something different, and to see what kind of comes together in a easy way. My friend Susie Moore says, let it be easy. Like that's her motto in life. That does not come natural to me, but I love it.
Girl, me either.
I wish it did.
Amy, I have to constantly remind myself about ease and grace and flow and all those things because my natural tendency is to make it hard.
Oh my gosh. Amen to that. We are the same person in that. And this is really sickening. My dad, who's a very, very hard worker, hustle mentality his whole life, he has this saying that is so convoluted, it's horrible. But he would used to tell me, if you're doing work you don't really like, but you're doing it well, that's what hard work is. Like, what? Work you don't really like, but you're doing it well is hard work. I literally believe that for years and years. It's kind of crazy the things we need to unlearn. Our parents have great intentions. My parents helped me become a wonderful person and a hard worker. But some of that stuff my dad taught me, it's a little suspect. He has this other motto: if you're on time, you're late. Like, oh my gosh, like talk about like grinding, grinding, grinding. So I've had to unlearn some things from my dad, God bless him, that have just not served me as a female building a business online.
Oh, so true. There is a lot of unlearning. And I just want to encourage someone who's listening, you will forever be unlearning.
Yes.
You will forever be finding new limiting beliefs and thoughts that have been just kind of playing in the background and you just didn't even know it was a thing. And you can be wildly successful and still have limiting beliefs. So this
Oh, yeah.
idea that you have to root it all up and unplug everything before you can make progress is also not true. I know, someone sent me a DM recently and she said, "Oh my gosh, you were just goals." And I said, if your goal is to be awesome and a hot ass mess at the same time, go for it. I'm glad I could be that goal for
I
you.
love the honesty though. I love that because I feel like a hot ass mess all the time, like genuinely. And I'm an easy crier. So I will be crying behind the scenes at just the littlest things. Like, get yourself together, Amy. But at the same time, we can really be amazing and do big things.
Yeah, I hope that's one of the big takeaways. It's
Yeah.
not perfection. It's the consistency and the constantly just trying to figure it out and do the work.
Yes.
Amy, before I let you go, I want to ask you our redefining wealth rapid wisdom questions. You're going to tell us the first thing that comes to mind, okay?
Okay. Got it.
All right. Amy, how do you define success?
Ooh. By looking at the love and support of my family and friends and knowing I've done a good job to support and love them as well. That's, to me, at this age, that's where I've gotten.
Love it. Define wealth in 3 words or less.
Ooh. Okay. So to me, it would be freedom, above most, security, and ease.
Yes. Freedom, security, ease. Okay. What's one book that has redefined how you see wealth?
Oh, how I see wealth. A book that's redefined. That's a hard one. A book that's redefined how I see wealth. That you have stumped me. I can't think. Where I get nervous on the fly is thinking of titles of things. I mess them up all the time. Although I will say this, that new book that Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart, is that what Brene Brown has a new book? Atlas of the Heart, I think it is. I might again be messing up the words. But in that book, she really talks about what matters most. And I could say that that would be something that would redefine how I look at my success, the wealth I have, both in the love I have and in the money in the bank. So yes, that Atlas of the Heart, I hope I'm saying it right. I get so nervous.
It's okay. We'll confirm that. We'll look it
Okay.
up. We'll link to it in the show notes. Okay, and then fill in the blank. My name is, and to me, the truth about wealth is.
My name is Amy, and to me, the truth about wealth is you get to define it however works for you on your terms. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Well, of course, that's what we're here to do. Redefine
Right?
wealth for ourselves. Amy, thank you so much for being here. I am just so encouraged by your vulnerability and your transparency. I know how easy it is to have the level of success that you have and to make it just, make people think that you have it all figured out. But through your social posts and through your podcast, you're always so encouraging and so vulnerable and so willing to just share the practical tips and strategies and tools and resources. And I just adore you. So thank you so much for being here. And to everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure that you follow Amy in social media. Check out the new book. Go to her website. It's amyporterfield.com, right?
Yes. And thank you so much for having me. This has been such a treat. I absolutely have loved every minute of it.
Oh, I loved having you. You guys connect with Amy. Let her know that you're a purpose chaser and that you found her here on the Redefining Wealth podcast. And of course, come into the free Redefining Wealth Facebook community. We can chat about this episode. What were your big takeaways? What is something that you're going to shift because you had an opportunity to be exposed to the lessons and gems that were dropped here today. I'm Patrice Washington. Of course, until next time, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever chasing money. We'll talk to you later.